Kaya mo yan, ikaw pa. You can do it, you of all people. How many times have you heard that when you were already clearly falling apart? And I get it, us Filipinas are celebrated for being strong, dependable, selfless, the ones who hold everyone together no matter what. But what if that strength, the very thing we're praised for, is the same thing that's quietly breaking us? Stay with me till the end because I'll share the story of a time I finally broke down after years of pretending I was fine and how I learned to redefine strength through kapwa, community, and softness. Magandang umaga, hapon, or gabi po sa inyong lahat. My name is Dr. Nette. I'm a Filipino-American clinical psychologist dedicated to helping Filipinos worldwide healing generational trauma through inner child healing, ancestral wisdom, and kapwa psychology. I was born and raised in the Philippines and I immigrated here in the States as a young adult, and I later pursued graduate studies in the San Francisco Bay Area. As a first-gen immigrant, I bring both personal and professional insight into the healing journey. And also, having grown up with anxiety and trauma, I know what it's like to push through pain because wala tayong choice. We have no choice. And those experiences inspired me to create the Brown Psych, a space where healing meets culture, heritage, and community. So, let's talk about the birth of the Strong Filipina. Kasi this is a myth. It's not also random. And the image of that strong Filipina was shaped by colonization, patriarchy. These are systems that praised women for self sacrifice but punished us for power. And during the Spanish colonial period, the ideal woman, the Maria Clara, do you remember her? Demure, obedient, religious, and silent. This is the archetype of that ideal woman during that time. And it was clearly demonstrated in the books of Jose Rizal, right? Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo. Really amazing books if you haven't read it yet. She was taught that hiya or shame or pagpapakasakit, which means suffering, were signs of moral virtue. But when war and poverty came, the script flipped, didn't it? We became the breadwinners, caregivers, and emotional anchors. Do you remember the Filipino nurses? That could be your mom, your lolas, your titas. They began migrating to the United States in the early 1900s after the US colonized the Philippines and introduced an American style nursing education system. They were trained in English and American medical practices. They became ideal recruits for US hospitals facing nurse shortages. This is especially after the World War II and during the 1960s and 1970s. So many came here seeking better pay and opportunities, often supporting their families back home through remittances. And over time, Filipino nurses became not only known for their skills and compassion, but also the breadwinners whose earnings helped lift entire families, even a whole barangay sometimes, right? Because they are all related to each other. You know, these communities out of poverties and making them the key contributors to both the US healthcare system and also the Philippine economy. So we were suddenly celebrated for being matatag or resilient, but still expected to stay quiet about our pain. And here's also another painful irony about this. The patriarchy and the colonialism taught us that our worth lies in how much we give, not in who we are. And so like Psikologiyang Filipino scholars, right? They remind us that colonization didn't just take land. It really reshaped gender roles. Before colonization, many pre-colonial Filipino societies were egalitarian. Women served as the babaylans, the spiritual leaders, healers, community advisors, and they were respected, not silenced. But colonizers replaced the babaylan with a Maria Clara archetype, holy, quiet, self-effacing. That's when the strength stopped being spiritual power and became endurance of pain. And now, generations later, we're still performing that role. We're praised for being strong, and I'm all for being the strong Filipina, right? But at the same time, when you have that kind of like image all the time, we are also discouraged from being real and from faltering or from being human. So when someone asks you strong, what does that mean to you? Is that admiration or is that expectation? I really want to hear your take, especially if you are a strong Filipina watching this. The strong Filipina didn't come from our ancestors, it came from survival, and survival isn't the same as healing. So, the myth of the silent sacrifice, let's talk about it. It's such an important thing in this topic because we grew up hearing pagmamahal as sakripisyo, love means sacrifice. And somewhere along the way, we started believing that to love deeply means to lose ourselves. And we learned that being a good daughter means saying yes, or a good wife means never complaining, and a good mother means carrying everyone's pain. And that's the myth of the silent sacrifice, where silence is mistaken for strength. This has a name. In the field of psychology, overfunctioning is what we call it. This is like doing for others what they can do for themselves because you fear being seen as selfish. In a study in the Journal of Asian, it's in 2020. Asian Journal of Psychiatry found that Filipino women often delay seeking therapy because they feel hiya or shame for needing help, especially if they're caregivers. And that's what the patriarchy does. It praises our pain, but ignores our exhaustion. We are just like really treated as a cog in the machine. We're just kind of like a machine, not as human. So if we are going to reframe this, it will look like love isn't proven through suffering, and love is sustained through reciprocity, through giving and receiving together. So if you ask me about the strong Filipina and the imposter syndrome, this is also another kind of like big thing when it comes to the strong Filipina image. Because have you ever accomplished something and instead of feeling proud, you thought, ooh, I just got lucky? Or if they really knew me, they'd see that I'm not good. And that's the imposter syndrome. And it's common among high achieving Filipinas because we've been taught to always excel, but never to boast, wag maging mayabang, to achieve, but stay humble. And our hiya or the shame around visibility keeps us small even when we've earned our place. And so in American psychology, Dr. Kevin Nadal, who is like one of like the trailblazers here in for Filipino American, and one day, Dr. Nadal, if you're watching this, we would love to have you on the Brown Psych channel. He is like one of I mean, like I admire this person like truly, and because he's one of the OG trailblazers here. But he says that many Filipinos struggle with success because our collectivist roots value harmony over individuality. So when we stand out, we feel guilty as if we're betraying the group. But humility doesn't mean dimming your light. It means shining in a way that also uplifts others, not hides you. So I want you to try this. Next time you achieve something, say it out loud. This joy is not arrogance, it's gratitude. And can you also imagine what that will do to the inner child who has suppressed the joy and like that feeling proud for a long time, right? So I have another question for you. Do you also struggle to celebrate yourself without guilt? Drop the word healing in the comment if that hits home for you. So let me tell you about a client I once worked with. She was a brilliant Filipina, high achieving, compassionate, the strong one in her family, but she came to therapy completely burnt out. And when I asked her, where did you learn what being strong looks like? She said, it's from my mother-in-law. She was the perfect woman, always serving, always patient, never complaining, and everyone adores her. And I just want to be like her. And she even like commented that, like this mother-in-law had like 5 children. Sure, she's a stay-at-home mom, but she did everything perfectly. And in that moment, I could feel the weight of that word perfect. Because what she admired wasn't just kindness, it was the endurance. She was modeling her life after someone who had learned to make silent sacrifice look effortless. And so, this particular person, she actually like had 2 toddlers who are female, who are girls. And I asked her, Do you also want that to be the same standard that you are modeling for your children, for your two daughters? That you're not allowed to falter, you're not allowed to look exhausted, you're just allowed to look perfect and endure every single time. And that's when she was kind of like taken aback because she told me that, of course not. I want them to see me as the imperfect mom as well, because I can never reach that standards. And that's the danger, right, of the strong Filipina myth. It's inherited. And sometimes we don't even realize it's a standard until it starts breaking us. And truthfully, I understood her because I grew up watching my own mom sacrifice everything for her family, her dreams, her rest, her needs. And she gave, and it looked so natural that I thought that that's what love is. And this is where, like I wanted to reclaim that story of the sacrifice. Because is that really how I also wanted to model it for my own kid? That it is coming from such a self-sacrificing thing where nothing is left for her anymore. And this is how I want to pivot, right? That this is what I'm reclaiming now, that we can love and also choose softness, and that resting and asking for help doesn't dishonor her. It honors what she never got to experience. We inherit models of strength from women who did what they had to do to survive. And our job right now is to evolve that strength, to make it sustainable, not just sacrifice, not just sacrificial. And so, if we're going to redefine the word strong, in kapwa psychology, true strength or being strong isn't independence. It is actually interdependence. And there is a big difference between codependence and interdependence. And kapwa is all about interdependence. It's knowing that the pakikipagkapwa, connection with others, is power. And our pre-colonial ancestors weren't just strong, they were whole. They prayed, they worked, they grieved and healed in community. They knew that the body cannot be endlessly poured from. And to reclaim that kind of strength, we have to unlearn the colonial lie that suffering makes us worthy. And there's also another reminder for you and for myself as well, that we don't need to prove our resilience by burning out. Our softness is sacred, and our rest is our resistance as well, together with our healing. And just to be clear, reclaiming rest and softness doesn't mean we stop trying. Of course, we continue to show up. Of course, like there are times when we really need to work hard and honor our commitments. We get up every day for our kids. We are responsible for our kids. But here is the big but. We are also allowed to ask for help. And we are also allowed to tell our partner, our family, that our battery is drained and that it's okay to rest. We're allowed to pause when it's too much. We're allowed to be seen not only when we're strong, but also when we're struggling. And that's the modeling that I'm talking about. And there are so many conversations I've had, even with my own kid, when I would say that, mom's kind of like tired right now, but like, especially like when she wants to do something, when she was growing up, she's 19 years old now. So the dynamic obviously has changed. But when she was younger and she would ask, like to play, for instance, and I would be so tired, I would explain to her, like, this is what I did the whole day. And I said to her, like, what about like you give mommy, like, I don't know, an hour or 2 hours of rest, and then together we can play, like, I don't know, Candyland or something after, right? And that's not weakness. That is emotional honesty, and also the kind of honest modeling that we are doing for our own kids, because strength without support becomes survival, not growth. Okay, so I want you to download my free guide, Pagbabalik Loob. This is the return to the self. This is actually if you do not know what inner child healing looks like yet. And inner child healing is such a powerful tool that you can use for trauma, and at the same time for your own healing journey. And this is a reflective workbook to help you reconnect with your inner strength without guilt. And I have a question for you also to reflect on, maybe in your walks today, during your meditation, when you're doing your journaling. What part of your strength story do you want to rewrite? And if you also want to comment, I would read each and every one of your comment and would also respond back to you. So put the comments right now. Every strong Filipina was once a little girl who believed love had to be earned. And we heal when we learn to give ourselves the nurturing we once gave everyone else. Inner child healing isn't about weakness, it's about remembering that you're human, not superhuman. We are not supergirl or superwoman. And if you're ready to redefine what strength looks like, to rest, to be honest, to belong, come and join us at the Helam Collective. This is our amazing community here at the Brown Psych. It's our online space for Filipinos healing together through kapwa, community, and compassion. And one of our root foundations is like inner child healing and also ancestral wisdom, because healing isn't selfish, it's ancestral. And hey, you don't have to be the strong Filipina all the time. You're allowed to be soft, messy, joyful, and still be powerful. Strength isn't about carrying pain all the time. It's about creating space for peace as well. And it's about saying, yes, I'll keep trying, but I will rest too. And hey, if you ever felt guilty for asking for help, watch this next video. This video will teach you why we feel guilty asking for help and how to turn shame into self-compassion. Maraming salamat again for being here. This is Dr. Nette signing out and reminding you that our healing is our resistance. I'll see you on the next one.